Hello and welcome once again to the CGW Radio podcast. This is the podcast for July 31st, 2006. I almost said 31st with a lisp.
Well, now you did.
And now I did. Great.
Great.
For July 31st, 2006, I am here with the editors of Computer Gaming World magazine, and we have a big show today because we got hit with kind of a bombshell piece of news there yesterday, was it? Yesterday on Sunday, of all days. We discovered that E3 is going away. Cries. So,
Not.
so there's that to talk about. We'll have our usual round of what you playing. Darren is going to run us through some news bits to inspire and educate you. And we're going to have some reader mail, including one very special letter being read by our very special friend, Ralphie, who's going to be joining us later on. So that said, I am here with the editors of CGW, some of which include
Brian Scott?
Darren Gladstone.
Sean Elliott. Sean Malloy.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Howdy.
Ryan, the kids want you to talk more this week. There wasn't enough Ryan last week, I think. That was your cue to say something. Jeez.
That's my response.
Okay, that's going to go well. Fans of Ryan, you have to yell louder at him because he's being stubborn.
He's got some big news this week.
He doesn't want to talk about it.
All right.
No.
We don't want to leave him alone. We don't talk about people's personal lives, Sean. We'll have to
That
talk
was- I
about
wasn't
your
talking about
operation.
that.
Oh, talking about something different?
Just that he's
His EVE Online character is
playing
raking
EVE
in a
Online.
fortune.
Yeah, his EVE Online
Right.
character can now, I don't know, fly a Class B space frigate.
I got big news. I got these sexy new Italian leather motorcycle boots on. But aren't I hotter?
That is
Sexy.
that is hotness,
Yeah.
man.
You
Didn't they
you
scoff
feel
after, like,
nervous
4
around me,
seconds?
don't you?
All
Little bit.
inspiring. I'm just thankful that you actually have a motorcycle to justify buying those.
Yeah. Well, it runs on rubber bands, but still.
That was like a... Remember Ghost Rider?
Okay, no insidery.
All right.
Insidery jokes. Okay, so we're going to start off with what you're playing. I haven't played anything personally because I was down in L.A. seeing my frickin' family this weekend. Love you, Mom. Ryan, what were you playing
I
this past
played
week?
some more EVE Online,
Still
and-
got the love.
Ooh.
and my character is indeed capable of flying a, what did you say, a Class B frigate?
Yeah.
Good guess.
Wow, so that's 3 weeks on this game.
So far,
I think you're beyond the experimentation phase.
So are you
Yeah.
officially hooked? Are you
You're-
enjoying progress?
You guys are
Quest in
going
space?
steady now. You and
Well-
Eve.
Well, right now I'm me and one of my buddies from the CGW forum have like a mining operation going, which is about
Nice.
as exciting as it sounds.
Yeah. But is it like, netting you cool loot or monies or
We-
something?
Whatever you get in that game.
We made a little bit of money over the weekend, so I got to jump back on, and I kind of disappeared for a couple days.
So
you're
is this
probably
like
wondering
your
where I'm
main
at.
game right now?
Right now, yeah.
Did you
That's
stop
cool.
Guild Warsing for a while?
I haven't played Guild Wars since I started playing.
Wow.
Wow, that's-
This
that's
is the game that kicked Ryan's Guild Wars habit.
Until the next expansion comes out.
Hmm. That should be on the EVE Online box,
Ryan Scott says,
All right, the game that made me stop playing Guild Wars.
Awesome.
and there's your free advertisement.
Darren, you, sir?
It was an awesome weekend. I went whitewater rafting, so I didn't get much chance to play games.
What's that?
Outdoors, oxygen, sunlight.
Outside?
But
I
when
played that game at Dave & Buster's.
Tubin?
It's got the big like paddle that you
Yeah.
do.
I've done that. No, but I have been playing a lot of back on the freeware kick, and my one thing actually, everyone out there listening, you got to check out this game called The Blob. It's a 100 meg download. It's kind of like Katamari Damacy ish, but it's totally free. It's worth checking out.
With a little bit of Mario Sunshine thrown in.
Just a little bit.
What's the URL? Sorry.
It's one of those obscure things. Just I don't have a URL handy, but
Just
if you
Google freeware.
Google
and
freeware
Blob.
game and The Blob.
That
Yeah.
won't turn up any porn, will it?
I
Nah.
maybe unfortunately not. If
Okay.
it does, I don't want to know.
Unless you've got like your
I don't know who showed up on that.
your block all BBW site filter turned off.
Okay. Mr. Elliott, are you playing anything these days?
I'm back to BF2 again. Just been polishing up my helicopter pilot skills. I play with a real good gunner, and just work on the TV missile coordination and stuff, take out jets with it and this and that. And
How many hours are you up to at this point?
I don't know. I think we probably just passed over 500 now.
Wow.
Damn.
And it's like, I mean, we have some people on our forums who are just talking about how much they hate about the game. And it's so true. It's like, I hate the game more than anything, but I love it more than anything. It's like, I've gone a full year. And for all the complaining, it's just still because I only complain because I care so much about it.
I really don't remember the original Battlefield 1942 getting this much complaints, though, all the time.
Oh, it did. There were so many patches on it. Yeah, I mean, you would have had to have followed it, but there were so many patches. And it was like, when they patched out initial things like, C4ing the Jeeps so you could get them to launch far enough to practically get you out to the carriers and stuff. I mean, it was like the end of the world for some people, It was kind of the same stuff you get in any hardcore multiplayer game, like when they tweak the parameters for strafe jumping or bunny hopping in Team Fortress, and Valve did that. A lot of guys that spent all their time working on those skills and finally developed them said, it's over. It's done. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's always that. But I do wonder, actually, I can't say. One of the persistent problems with BF2 now is still the server browser and whatnot. And I think that's just not DICE's strong suit. I mean, it was horrible and is still horrible in 42.
What about that autoloader? I mean, I know
the autoloader is
patches.
great. And there's a 1.4 patch coming out for Battlefield 2, and unfortunately, they have to do their own work on their side to keep up with the patches. Mm-hmm. And as of now, I don't think they're caught up. So
that's too bad.
I think they didn't even bother with 1.3 because it has so many persistent crash bugs. But maybe when 1.4 comes out any day now, the beta's already out. You can get it on FileFront if you guys want.
I wonder if the DICE guys are talking to the autoloader guys, because it just seems like that's a much better interface.
Yeah, they're well aware of the problem. I mean, one of the big things that they keep underscoring for 2142 is that, hey, the server browser is 600 times faster. You can have friends lists. You can have favorites. All the things you expect. But it's really odd to think that there's a game, an entirely multiplayer game like Battlefield 2 in 2005, 2006, and it doesn't even have a friends list. It doesn't have
that's
all the insight. That's just insane when you can get that stuff on
Yahoo Messenger.
And in any console game where it's clearly the multiplayer is an afterthought or something thrown in to fill up the last few months of development cycle. But I mean, this is a game that's all about that, and it doesn't have a friends list. It's so dumb. But so they know it. They insist they're working on it, so hopefully this will be the last.
So it'll be in 2142.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
then the bummer is that you have to play 2142.
Oh, to see.
Burn! Ouch! I mean, and here I thought I was going to be mean saying, and 600 times better than nothing is still nothing. But
wow.
Mr.
Malloy,
I'm actually playing the movies.
Really?
Yeah, I stole it from Ryan's office and
No,
the expansion pack from Sean's office before I left for the weekend.
Way to go.
Yeah.
So what are you making? What movies are you making?
I haven't made any movies. I'm just doing the simulation part now.
I thought that's like the bad part.
No. Yeah, it is kind of boring. Like, I've been playing it and going, it kind of plays itself almost. Like, there's no question about what you should be doing next. Just like, oh, okay, now I lay down this building because I need this building next. So I just got the building that lets you make your own scripts.
Awesome.
Which is the part I was kind of interested in, because I watched a couple on the Lionhead site that were kind of cool, like in a I didn't know a video game could actually do this kind of thing, kind of way. Not like
you ever get tempted to like look for hacks online so you could just unlock all the stuff and create your own movies?
I probably will
cheating,
soon
Dan.
enough.
But they definitely need that, especially if you want to go in and just use it as a tool to create stuff.
Yeah, because right now,
there
might be a free play mode or something like that.
Well, I think
or a sandbox mode.
Well,
or
I think
something.
the way the sandbox mode works, if you want to just make movies, is that you have to actually like unlock some of the stuff in the sim game.
Oh, you still have to do that.
Yeah.
Cheater.
And if we're getting this wrong, neither Darren nor I reviewed the game, so don't
That's
yell
right.
at us. The guy who did.
I
So what?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know why I didn't play that one, because it sounds so fun to make the movie making part.
It's been on my to play list for a while, so I finally just said I'm going to steal it and play it.
Yeah. So you should post your movie online for everyone to see.
There's a
It'll
weird
be awesome.
kind of apathy or something that might prohibit the that sort of thing in those games. So I was thinking like Battlefield 2's got the BF2 TV recorder,
right?
And I was thinking of how every time I play, like, we should record this. We should record this. It's like you just never do.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. I was wondering, a lot of people play like the movies and stuff, and like, we could do this and we could do that, and then they just
that's just
for whatever
laziness.
reason.
Well, it seems like there's a lot of clips out there.
Yeah, there definitely are, but I mean, probably should be a lot more, right? I mean,
Yeah, well, it's the movie making part of it seems so disconnected from the actual game. At least the little I've played of it, that it's just like, okay, now I got the custom script office, but I don't really have to use it. So it's like a completely different part of the game.
It's like a separate game.
And I'm wondering how like the quote critics unquote like that review the game, the movies within the game, like judge you, like because you make money based on how good the movies are.
Hopefully, they're a little more professional than game critics.
It's just how much crap you've got.
I don't know why I said that.
The more props you've got in your
I wonder if it's just
the
that.
higher your score.
Yeah, I wonder if they like know like if you're connecting different scenes correctly.
Right. Could you send them tchotchkes and stuff? Like the game companies do with us.
I don't know. I haven't built the PR department.
Here's my
yet.
movie clip, and here's
That's
a
coming
plastic
soon.
sword that says Guild Wars on it.
Here's a PR
department.
Whatever.
And then I played some WoW.
Some WoW.
Yeah, of course.
I'm kind of back
now
into
with
WoW.
my Warlock.
Yeah.
Just for taste.
Every time there's a new controversial patch or whatever announcement, it always makes me play again.
We're getting pulled back in. Just got my infernal pet.
Ooh. Oh, cool.
We still need to have our office lunch game of the ship.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
we've been
ship.
talking about
We
that.
haven't
That's
done
right,
that
it
still.
yet.
One of our
I
readers
know
was asking
some of
about
you
that.
loaded
Played
it, but need to do it.
I'll do that when I get back from the executive boondoggle in Napa.
All right.
While you peons are still working.
Even I've got
enjoy
the
the
ship.
wine, by the way.
Huh?
Even I've got the ship.
Even
Yeah, I
I am.
downloaded it. So we all have it now? We just haven't
Got
played
it.
it
So
together.
ready to go.
But we got
playing.
communication problems here. We all have this game, and we haven't played it together.
Hey, it was hard
It's
enough
sad.
getting you and Darren on land to play Prey. Multi-Prey.
Really?
You know what? That
Multi-prey.
was kind of fun. The multi-prey,
Yeah, it was fun.
except for you.
You were who was whoring the space coffin? Was Darren?
Wait, the space coffin?
Yeah, that flying fucking toboggan.
Yeah, I kind of
The
was.
toboggan.
Whoa, hello.
Whoa.
Hey.
The flying
Don't say toboggan.
fracking toboggan. It shoots-
Yeah, that thing seemed a little bit of a cheat.
I don't know. I mean,
I was.
Well, considering how few maps there are.
You know what I was doing at the end there was I would just get into that ship and I would fly way up to the top of the
I saw
level.
you
and
doing
wait,
that.
and then you see a sign of movement,
And
and
then-
then start dropping
Exactly.
rain and hell on them. And you see him running like, all
Yeah.
dunk, dunk, dunk.
It's just another form of lurking or camping.
Yeah. Need
Which is-
something good to take that out.
You do. You need like a big rocket.
You can get like
launcher.
the equivalent of the lightning gun, with the alt fire is to pull in the energy sources. And when you get the white energy flow, that worked
Yeah.
pretty well on that thing.
Yeah.
But it's not like it's not like the sniper rifle in that game will get you a one-shot, kill, a hit in the space coffin or whatever,
Not with that thing. Yeah.
easily, like lean around the corner and take it out. It didn't work that way.
Yeah. It was fun, but I didn't really feel like going back to it.
I thought it was pretty cool. Some of the other levels we played actually had had more setups where you could use your spirit walking power, where
Okay.
you could activate shields and whatnot and hide behind them and basically go get a few hits in with your spirit and then pop the shield and
Okay.
come through. And yeah, there's some potential in there. I am hearing that online already it's totally a savants game, but which I mean you've got people that are really good and that's it. Everyone
what else
is
is
just like
new?
go to hell.
Yeah.
That's what online game isn't like that.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't.
What
Battlefield's
online
not
shooter
like that
says,
because-
"Welcome, newbie.
right.
We won't
But you
shoot
have
you.
some where
Get
you
a feel
can-
for the map first. We won't frag you."
right. But the difference is, I think you can have games where like Battlefield, where you're not the best, and you're going to jump in, and there's enough people, and you can get points doing something other than just killing someone. You might have the luck of getting in a vehicle that's going to give you an advantage. Say if you suck and you get in a tank, you're at least going to be able to kill a few people, unless you're
So
completely.
it's a combination of having enough room to operate,
messed
enough
up.
vehicles, enough
Right.
enough people, enough moving targets to give you a chance to move around a little.
But in a deathmatch game like that,
Yeah.
with that few
Yeah.
players, you get a good cycle going, and once you're in the lead, you've always got 200% health, 200% armor. You've got all the access to the best weapons. You're running a loop, so you're catching them every time they respawn and locking other players out from them. And it's like, yeah, you don't get a point for repairing some dude's truck and still feel like, I'm not
Right.
that good, but at least I accomplished something. You're just there to get, and I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not bitter. It's not my own experience. It's just what I've heard. And it's like, I do know the experience from other games where, you ever play Quake 3 Arena and you're on like a one shot, one kill railgun level with
Right.
no fall damage. And so it's nothing but rail jumping and like insta jib. Those will humble you real fast. But anyhow.
Okay, should we head on to events? of the week
Events
or
of the week.
event of yesterday.
The big
Big one, which started as a scoop by Next Gen, and then it got other sites kind of said, no, that isn't what happened, and now it turns out that kind of is what happened, which is that the Entertainment Software Association, the ESA, has decided to pull the plug on E3 as we know it. And that comes from...
and it sounds like it was a decision that they made in reality. I mean, this decision was foisted upon them by the publishers, who basically said, "Screw this."
We're done.
Which is about 5 or 6 years overdue. And what I've been hearing is that EA pulled out first, and followed by Sony, and then it was a house of cards after that.
And we've been hearing this on our side of things for years now. I mean, constantly it's been nothing but complaints about diminishing returns from EA and this and that.
It costs millions, literally millions of dollars for a game company to set up shop at this trade show.
It is a money black hole.
And they feel like when they go in there, say if you're someone with the clout of EA, their alternative is to have their own private press event where they can control the focus. They don't have to worry about the white noise of all these other games.
Right.
Not even competing with their own games. They can say, hey, we're just going to show you these 5 this month and then something else. And then also who's getting the time? Like, say maybe, we've been in there and we're like, we have that sense of entitlement. We're like, hey, we're just here to work. Let us get some time to talk to someone and get out of here. But then half the time you don't know who's in there anymore. It's like a lot of people. It's really easy to sneak in. And
it's seriously
so
on
much
our end,
sound
we've
and
known
fury.
that this has been of no use to us for years.
Right.
And they've had the pre E3 events anyway.
Even more and more.
It's totally pointless. I mean, a company like EA, they spend $5 million on that booth, and then after that they're spending. They fly in journalists, or we drive down for the day and we hang out and check out all their games, and it's just cost and time. It turns like E3, which is supposed to be like a week in May, it turns into like a 3-month procedure.
Well, once one company started with the pre-E3 thing, where we're a captive audience for their own
games.
stuff, then all the other companies started to see how successful that was.
Wasn't Microsoft?
I think it was Microsoft with the GameStop
a
few years ago. And now E3 starts basically in April for us. By the time E3 actually rolls around, we've seen everything that's going to be cool. Maybe they'll hold 1 or 2 surprises off for us behind closed doors. But then those are the things that we can't even write about. So, I don't know. I mean, it's always face it, it's great to like go down to LA and just screw around for a week.
Down there.
That part's fun, but as a practical, productive event,
this has got to be a real time to let out the sigh of relief for anyone in online media.
Oh my God!
Because instead of for them,
it
might mean being it could all happen in a big flurry of activity around that same time frame. But it's going to be stretched out. Hey, 2 days later, there's this. Maybe next week, Activision's got something. Instead of the whole, here are 3 days, get everyone on staff writing like gibberish.
Those guys were just machines. I mean, at least we had the luxury of saying, when we get back to San Francisco, we'll write the stuff up.
Right.
Maybe.
The only thing that scares me as a result of this is that some show like GDC could become the next E3. And I actually find that GDC is like the most useful show where I get a chance to like hang out, talk to the developers.
Right, but I don't think it really.
It's not.
Will.
I don't think
they're not.
I hope
that's
not.
Because that's the whole thing is the developers want to get out of the everyone showing their hand at once scenario.
That makes total sense. It's totally ridiculous.
I think we're not going to miss it. It's going to be really. And think of all the time wasted by the developers to have to get ready for the damn show. Get your E3 build ready.
Yeah, that's such an invasive process to stop development to okay, now we have to put together the demo. Let's polish everything up.
Right, so you can't actually work on the game. You've got to work on the build to show the game critics at E3 so they get the best of E3 award.
Right.
That's
the other thing that's going to die. Just the whole notion of awards at E3.
Thank God.
Oh, thank you. Seriously, that is so overdone.
For a trade show,
awards for the shiniest production.
It's all marketing. Just another excuse to get people's labels on boxes.
That's all
get people to.
I was in that little committee, that little game critics committee, and I hated it the whole time. I thought it was the biggest bogus.
Yeah,
we had the loudest booth with the flashiest demos.
It was all about just getting a box quote.
Right. I couldn't tell you how many times, right after the show, people were calling me asking, "Okay, so when's your E3 coverage going to hit?" I'm like, looking for an E3. We're not going to do an E3 branded story. We wound up not doing it, which I'm really glad.
We did to be timely with the show.
Well, right.
What was happening
beforehand.
is if we had turned and done it, it would have been 2 months.
Right, but I'm just saying
we did it in advance.
we did an opinionated preview beforehand. But like there were so many other magazines. If you open up your Game Informer, PC Gamer, whatever, they have these post E3 reports things.
Right, everyone had the same feature like 2 months after E3.
Exactly.
Hence the lead time.
August, they're reading about.
And everyone has the same, here it is.
Whatever.
Here's your E3 experience and this and that.
We got drunk and went to parties.
Yay!
Those are always fun to read.
I guess the one thing I'm kind of just I was thinking back about it now. It was like 12 years ago when.
Sorry, playing with the Velcro on my
like, what
boot.
is that?
Like scratching.
Oh, that's
up
what that was.
Yeah, sorry.
Jeff playing with his new toy. No, I'll just wrap this so really quick. Just like my thought was like 12 years ago when they started doing E3, it was a direct result of like the game industry saying, "Hey, we're being treated like the redheaded stepchildren of CES." It was like the game industry and the porn industry were put off in some other hall. And not that I mind that. I actually enjoyed that part. But
Ryan sits up now.
Now the porn show happens. It still happens at the same time as CES. It's got its own convention.
Exactly. Well, the point was like E3 was kind of an offshoot saying, "Hey, we're going to do our own thing now."
Right.
And now E3. I mean, the whole point of it then was just say, "Hey, we're legitimate," and I think we've pretty much established we are legitimate. So the whole need for the show is gone.
Yeah, I agree. That's good point, Darren.
Yes.
Holy cow! I have a good point.
The hell did
Good
that
riddance,
happen?
E3. Good riddance.
Maybe
So good riddance, E3 is what we say here.
It's gonna, and ultimately, I think the big people that pulled out of it immediately, in their perspective, it's going to equal more meaningful coverage for them, which they see as promotional material.
Right.
So, say again, for example, like you've got, I don't know, Game X, and instead of showing it at E3 and having people give it the obligatory coverage, just with the mentality is like, hey, if it's there, we've got to do something on it.
Yeah.
This way, it comes out at a time when maybe it's one of the few releases announced that week. More people are going to like.
And it'll be at a time when maybe there's actually really something to talk about.
Put it in forums.
Other than, we saw it at the show and we saw 2 screens. Now we can just write an article when it's relevant.
The hard thing for us, I think if you want to do anything that's worthwhile, neither of those scenarios, either the E3 trade show or the events that are specific to the publisher, are very good places for us to be journalists,
Right.
They're places to go and write promotional copy where you go in and get the Dog and Pony Show. They tell you exactly what they want you to hear. Everyone hears the same thing.
Snacks, though.
As opposed to us going in, like if we got to go in on our own time and sit down with the people for a day, pick their brains, hang out with them, talk to them, not be, shepherded through the turnstiles and, hey, take 5 minutes on this and hear the same, pre-programmed speech that we're going to drop on everyone else. So it's like, I don't know, but that's our own thing. We'll make the good ones happen.
Well, I think if you do go on those day trips, let's say you go to an EA day and whatever, instead of you sitting in a room with 30 other journalists from different publications, I hope, like personally, when I sit in those meetings, I don't ask the questions I want to ask because I'm not going to give my questions over to someone else.
That's the other thing too. Yeah, how many times?
But you always get those great questions from the other web journalists.
Yeah,
the German guys are always great.
How many classes are there?
How many levels?
Right.
Yeah, like
how many types of guns do I get to shoot?
or like you see the frame rate. They're like the first thing. They're like, okay, this is a look at whatever say it was a couple years ago, UT 2007. They're like, this isn't going to be coming out for another 2 years. First question: is that what the frame rate's going to be when it finally comes out? Yes.
This seems like it's running a little slow. Yeah.
That's the thing I got to make fun of real quick.
Yeah,
for a fun aside, because you see. There's always this comment in a preview about frame rate now and then, and I think it's like this attempt. This is me being a pissed off, disgruntled previews editor, but it's an attempt of a bad writer or a writer who's just being lazy to say, okay, you know what, this really does read like ad copy, but here's my chance to inject some skepticism or something. Oh. But it's as dumb as like imagine if you're reading a preview in Entertainment Weekly for King Kong, and it's like, on the set now. Jack Black's running around in front of this green blanket, but we have every reason to believe that when this comes out in 2006, King Kong will be behind him. It's like, who cares? Shut up about the frame rate.
But the green blanket looked pretty
good. I mean, you could talk about what is this. I mean, like maybe there's something that you're already seeing in the way the game's put together that's got you worried or something. The design, other ideas. What the there are all these other entry points to if you really want to be critical about it that you can use. But
right.
the frame
you're
rate
right.
stuff,
That's like
just
it's
a
like
cop out.
It's the way to actually
one.
say you're being critical when you're looking at a preview.
Or a way to
this
fill
game looked awesome. Of course, the frame rate's a little down, but we're sure they're going to get it together.
Here's hoping that they pull it together by the time it's released in November
If
2006.
they can do X and Y, then Z. Yay.
Yeah.
See, we're getting catty now.
Yeah.
Yeah, here
We
I'm
would
like,
never do that.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not gonna add to that right now. But I'm reading through a. I wouldn't even say a
No,
competing.
don't even go there.
All right,
man.
never mind. Done.
One other last thing on the E3 thing. It's like we're clearly not concerned about it at all. Other than the party week is going to be be a little different.
That sucks.
But the one thing I was like, theoretically, I was talking to Sean about this earlier, Sean Malloy, and it's just that normally if you heard that instead of a big, widely accessible press conference type thing, you're going to have all these smaller things that are a little more exclusive and intimate. You'd worry if it's a situation like, Dick Cheney only offering interviews to Fox or something like that, But the thing is I think where a lot of these, and I don't want to crap on everyone, but where a lot of the small gaming sites and stuff like that are out there, and you would say, well, maybe it's going to be more difficult for them to get information now because they're not able to just go to E3, and they're not going to be able to fly out 7 times to 7 different mini shows. At the same time, there's not so much, there's not. I see a lot of soft stuff on the sort of soft writing on the smaller sites too. You know what I'm saying? I guess it's like the difference of kind of having an exclusive press conference and blackballing like a Distant or a Chomsky or something like that, and then opposed to like if you're just going there to write about how everyone needs to buy this game and this and that and the other thing. I don't know. I guess what I'm really getting to is like, let's see. I want to challenge anyone who writes about games is to just exercise their critical muscle. Go in there and think about what they're doing.
Actually, one of the things I know this is the topic that's never going to end, but the only people who really lose out from this are the guys in Kensha Hall or the smaller developers that want to get their stuff discovered.
What did they really gain
that's a good
from
point.
that, though?
Well, the thing is, they gain exposure. I mean, like, the journalists are there to cover the big stuff, and everyone takes a day down, and they go down to Kensha Hall, and they just check out. I mean, I go there I actually, that's my first stop every year. I go to Kensha Hall, and I look for, like, the underdogs, the games that might come to the States.
Right, because those are the guys that would have a hard time getting our attention.
Right,
also.
we're not going to go to a special day for, some...
Right, and if they tried to arrange to come into our office and they said they had a mouse pad that sat on top of your head and glowed.
I would buy that.
Yeah.
Look at,
but maybe if we see it in action at Kentia, we want to see it.
I mean, maybe that's what the show is going to turn into. I mean, here's the spin doctoring that the ESA sent out a press release today and was saying basically, let me see, E3 is evolving into a more intimate event focused on targeted, personalized meetings and activities. I mean, obviously they're doing damage control.
Right, they're doing damage control.
But it sounds like E3 is turning into Kensha Hall.
That's what it sounds like, yeah. That's exactly it.
If they even have any events, which we really don't even know now. I mean, they're spin doctoring today.
Right.
But,
this could be like
now,
let's take some time apart you get before the all right, we're through.
Yeah, I think they're
just separation
space. Right. And a month from now when they're standing inside the LA Convention Center going, guys, does anyone want to be here?
There's like a tumbleweed rolling through.
Right. Then they'll say, okay, E3 is actually canceled.
And this is pretty much how Comdex died, pretty much, with a whimper.
And one other thing, actually, from our end of things, what it's going to mean
is
that
Microsoft
the June, the way our magazine cycle for the 12 months kind of revolves around E3 as well, right? I mean, there's always the big covers are always sort of like December, January, but it's also June, right? Every publisher always, can we get the E3 cover?
The June cover.
That'll be gone now, which is kind of liberating.
Could be.
Yeah, because that's right. Because the publishers are always saving that stuff up, and it's like, why force us to do it at this one time a year when we can totally use these stories?
We'll start getting calls in January. Can we have the E3 cover?
I already got calls for
the
next
E3
cover.
Well, guess what?
Cancel.
Yeah, you can have it now.
All yours.
Okay, so are we done with that topic? Goodbye, E3.
Goodbye.
So long.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Right.
What about all the kids out there that have had the lifelong dream of going to E3, though, now? Now
we just made them all cry.
It's crushed.
Yeah. And, the first time you go, it is fun. I mean, it's fun every time. Just the spectacle of it. That part's fun. But as a useful business event.
Where are we going to see women, though, now? Where are we ever going to see another woman?
Oh, my God.
Do they have them on the internet?
I think they might.
I heard about that.
Ryan?
I just got to turn that BBW filter off.
I think so. Man, you guys ever, the last day at E3, it'll be like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. You'll be walking out, and some kid will be, "You leaving? Can I have your badge?" Has that ever happened to you guys?
What did you do? Did you give it to him?
Hell no.
Why not, man?
Because they're all like on his wall now. They're like,
I had to fight to get in here, and if
I
you're
had to
gonna
earn
get
it.
in, you're gonna have to do the same. I just give it to
Ryan
him.
probably was one of those guys back in the day.
Go in there, kid.
Fighting to get in.
No way.
Maybe
I
you'll
got
get yourself
I got
a free
in
bag of crap.
legitimately.
You did?
Printing out
I worked video game retail.
Oh, that's
That
right.
was
So
my
you were
ticket in
you
for
were an
2
EB
years.
jockey, so you kind of like use that retailer cred.
Not that I don't, like humanity or anything, but I would always get kind of annoyed when I would see, civilians in E3.
I don't mind civilians.
Civilians.
Yeah.
Civilians that wash. That's the important
Civilians
part.
that
There's a
wash.
pretense
The
that it was
shower would help.
Yeah.
Last
There's
year,
a pretense that it was a trade show, but there were so many non-trade people there.
It was just.
I've seen kids.
I mean,
there,
what's
man.
cool about it is when you see civilians in there, they look genuinely excited as
Right.
opposed to the rest of us. However, when you're actually trying to do your job in there, which we
Right.
really do have jobs in this business, and it's hard when you got 8,000 people going, "Oh, look, there's another Madden coming out," and you can't get through the crowd.
You know what? Even
I'm
half
sorry,
half
that was a
the
little
people-
misanthropic.
Well, it's like you're the guy
felt
that
that way
lives
too,
on
though.
Lombard Street and you're trying to get to work, but then
Yeah.
you can't because your street's full of all the looky-loos.
Right?
Check your
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frickin'
Even half the
peasants.
people,
Move.
Yeah.
even
Got
half
work
the
to
people
do.
who are supposed to be there don't act like they should. There's a couple years ago. I think it was E3 2005, where I was hanging out at the Ziff Davis booth, which was in the big hall where Sony and Nintendo were.
Right.
And it was right before the doors opened on the first day. I'm standing there, and the doors open. I see this flood of people just like running toward me. Where are they all going? I turn to look behind me, and they're all just making a beeline for Nintendo, just running like a dinosaur's chasing them or something.
Yeah.
It was
I'll throw down some Caltrans.
That's kind of
it was the weirdest thing.
I know that does amaze me. I mean, but it's kind of a cool thing about the industry.
Each year there's like a designated sort of like douche identity badge, and this last year it was the inflatable. It was an inflatable. No, a bodyboard from Webzen.
It was Webzen. Yeah, I saw
inflatable
that.
Webzen bodyboard. So you see people outside the convention center. It's like it's LA in the summer, so it's a good 90-something degrees, and that inflatable vinyl, how hot it gets,
Yeah.
right? And these obese backs were already sweating, and so you see them like. Just dripping with these things. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to, like, go surfing down the escalator in the E3 thing? And the year before, it was the Guild Wars cape that on some people looked like a napkin. I'm not lying. Like, it was because they were so massive, like, it made a cape. What would normally be, like, Ryan, you could, like, turn into a sleeping bag. It looked like a napkin on some of these fools.
No, actually, the one that I thought was like last year's, I think, was the Age of Conan inflatable sword. That was it for me. Because then you start seeing these two dumbasses like dueling with their inflatable swords.
They should send the police around there, and if the moment you accept one of those, they just take you out. Like, okay, you have to
shoot
leave.
you.
No, actually, they
Take you out behind the convention center.
No, actually, they
on behalf of humanity.
they
put you down.
They trank them and then tag them. Release them back
Send them
into
back
the wild.
out into the wild.
Thank you.
Don't do it again, you frickin' dork.
They can't leave you alone.
Okay. So we're going to move on to Darren's news.
A greatly condensed Darren's news this time. Wait. Never mind. Wow. And speaking of that, speaking about the Price is Wrong, MMO cross-dressing is dismissed in a Reuters report.
What?
That's right. MMO players aren't gender confused. They're just looking to score points. So
They haven't talked to us.
So, Jeff, would you care to...
Actually, they did. I was
Well,
quoted
that's
in that story.
that's the really exactly that's the really short version of the story.
You can actually let Ralphie read the Reuters comment.
All right, hey Ralphie,
Okay.
come on in, Ralph.
Ralphie.
I thought Ralphie was going to talk to us later. Okay,
Come
on in.
He wants
He's
in on
ready,
this
he's
one.
ready.
When men appear as buxom, scantily clad females in video games like World of Warcraft, it's more about winning than finding an outlet for a real-world affinity for gender bending. It has nothing to do with the exploration of sexual identity, says Brenda Braithwaite, a game developer who delved into the subject for her new book, Sex in Video Games. So again, what they said is just because I play a female what elf doesn't mean that I want to be a transvestite.
But is that how you? Do you think that that's right? Or do you want to be?
It's not right. I know some people that do, but I just like to play it because it looks good on my screen. You might have seen on the internet, Google video, there's a video of me and my character when my roommate caught me watching it.
That was a good one.
That was.
I've seen that one.
I saw that video. You looked
That was
a little
magical.
embarrassed, Ralphie. Actually, you got kind of mad.
I can't believe you even brought that up.
So they quoted you in this story.
They did quote me in that story.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
What'd you say?
Well, I said that kind of duh. I mean, I don't know. The story was a little
seems kind of like a non-issue. But
dog bites man kind of story. I mean, yes, it was about. I mean, somehow somebody in the mainstream media said, "Oh my God, there's these online games and there's men playing them as women."
Well, it's like saying, I mean, why is
Scary.
this new? It's like, did we all become trannies when Tomb Raider came out?
Yes.
You know, I mean,
I mean, no.
that was only for a Halloween costume, but I swear that only was a one-time thing.
Yeah. My wife still likes my Lara Croft outfit.
Yeah, I think
Did I say that out loud?
I think most of it's just.
I think I heard it.
You pick a girl because you're looking at the girl for the whole time you're playing, so you might as well look at something you quote like.
Right.
Unquote.
I mean, what I said in the article was that, my experience, and I had written about it a long time ago in CGW, was that when I played a female character in EverQuest, I actually found that I would get, like more help on quests. People would give me free stuff. I'd get loot just because I looked cute.
So that would
They thought you
mean
were a
that
hot elf.
people are assuming that you are a woman, even though there's
Exactly.
Or a
this
hot
obvious
elf in real
truth
life.
that they're all men.
Yeah.
I
So maybe this is informing people playing that they should stop giving free stuff to the female players.
Well, I guess I said that in the article, too, is that, like, even though I know most of the people playing are guys, when I see a female character in a game like WoW, I think my initial gut reaction is, oh, there's a female player.
Mm-hmm.
But then if I stop and think about it, I realize, no, it's actually probably just another fat 40-year-old guy. So remind me not to flirt with him.
I think the at least the way that it's summarized here, Brenda Braithwaite's book sounds like it has a really reductive outlook on things, though, because while clearly it's the case that not everyone who plays a character of the opposite gender in a game is doing it to explore, they might just be doing it for cosmetic or stats reasons or something. But I think obviously so it doesn't necessarily have nothing to do with it, because certainly there are some people who do it. Maybe they're another way around too. Maybe they're women who are like, I don't want to have to. I'm objectified all day long. Now I get to do something. I don't have to worry about that. I don't I can do this or that. So it's like not saying that all.
So
women
maybe
do
it's
that,
actually some
but if a few do it,
female gamers as males who are pinching my female elven ass in games
Could
as
be
a way to get back.
could be. So
Of course, I like it.
If that's harassment, I like it.
and even if you
Harass
are,
me more.
and I think even if you are, say you're playing a female character, and you at least note you're like, these people seem to want me in their party a little more than when I had like that dwarf tank, or like they're giving me a more. I mean, it's not like you're doing some crazy out there stuff, but you're still doing some exploration of sexual identity. You're at least noting that like there are different ways of interacting.
Well, I would never let on if I felt someone was like, giving me stuff because I was quote unquote female. I would never say, "Hey, actually, I'm a dude. You want that? You want that leather armor back?"
As opposed to Robert Coffey, who totally encourages that behavior.
Yeah, Robert Coffey encouraged it. The only thing that annoyed me when
he
I was
can respond. He can write his own book.
Yeah. What annoyed me though in EverQuest with that going on was like guys who would come up like while I was soloing and like wanted like give me advice or help me while I'm like fighting. Because a girl wouldn't know how to fight, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you might want to try, hitting her harder there, little lady. That kind of stuff.
Might want to try shutting up.
Have we all created female characters in online games here at this round table? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I did in Guild Wars. The chicks are hot in that game.
Yeah,
That's
especially
sad.
I did in City of Heroes because Robert had that whole that little
women guild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ordinarily, though, I don't.
Wait, Ryan, you were in a guild called Little Women?
Yeah. It was a superhero.
We were all in a
no,
guild
actually,
called
that was the
Little
joke.
I wasn't.
Well, it was before you showed up.
We didn't invite you.
Don't say we were all in the guild called Little Women, dude.
Okay.
Oh, except for Sean Elliott.
Except for Sean Elliott.
Except
who
for
wasn't-
manly Sean Elliott. Actually, Brenda Braithwaite is a pretty smart
I was in the
woman.
Big Man Guild.
Big man guild. No, I mean
The Bear Club.
She's a pretty cool person, and I mean, I don't want to. I'm just saying I don't want to like diss her book
Right.
in public.
Well, who
Also,
knows?
she's
Like I said,
hot.
that's just one quote from it too. I mean,
Nice.
although, like
Yeah.
again, I'm not going to back down when saying it has nothing to do with the exploration of sexual identity is a bit reductive. I mean,
Right.
like if you
I
read
agree.
other accounts, like I'm already forgetting her name, but what was the name of exploring something? I
Exploring.
I did an interview about her book a while ago, but anyway, there are several accounts in there of both women and men who were playing characters of opposite genders.
Oh,
and,
right, okay.
You know,
Mhm.
while it's not like, gender bending in the way you're thinking of it, necessarily in a real world sense, they're definitely taking stuff away from it, lessons learned, and this.
You
and
really
that.
just don't want to carry
Wasn't that
it
the
too
story
far.
about Wookiee from Galaxies?
No.
Oh,
Although that would apply too.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I knew. I mean, I was basically just doing it just for the heck of it, but I knew it had gotten too far when before I would log
T.L.
on to
Taylor.
EverQuest, I would actually
Oh.
dress up in some of my wife's clothing while I played and talk in a falsetto whenever she came into the room. So that's when I knew I'd. And she would come in and ask if I was okay, and I'd say, I really wish she'd leave me alone. And how do I look in these heels, by the way? Does this make my butt look big?
Ryan, you look like you feel uncomfortable.
Ryan looks a little uncomfortable right now.
Ryan's ready to take off his headset. Screw this.
Hey, Ryan,
damn
did you get
pod.
tan? You just turned red all of a sudden. What happened?
This was he told.
So I think the word "nothing" in that quote is what's
Yeah, that's
I'm hanging on that one too. It's kind of.
Yeah, it has nothing to do. Right.
Yeah.
It has something.
There might, in some cases, it might be something.
the subtitle of the
So,
book,
yay.
by the way, is "Dude, it's a dude." Sex and video games, dude.
It's a dude.
dude.
What else do we have there, Darren?
You know what? Let me get really quick one here. So I was just reading up on some random stuff recently, and there's this, after all the recent debates and how, video games are evil and Congress is on a rampage, Dr. Kimberly Thompson of Harvard University supposedly found during an independent analysis that the ESRB didn't identify all violence in games, and that according to the study, Pac-Man is 64% violent. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm just like
64% violent.
Well, yeah. Let me see there. It celebrates obesity as this guy runs around the maze eating all the time. I don't know.
Is that violence?
Is that violent?
That must be the other 36%.
You're eating the other ghosts.
Yep.
And the ghosts
Wow.
attack you. Yeah, I don't even know where to go with
We
that.
don't
one.
know that these dots he's eating aren't alive.
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
The other thing is that the ESRB, saying that the ESRB doesn't identify all the violence in it. Hello, it's like, we've known for a long time that when they do have their panel to assess what the score of a game should be, all they're reviewing is a clip of footage that the publisher has put together for them.
And they get a list.
They're
of
not
like,
playing in a list of stuff. They're not playing through on their own and seeing, what does it feel like to go, say this mission is go and kill this gang member. They're not playing it and saying, what's the level of emotional investment in this scene?
Right.
It's and then sometimes stuff's not mentioned. Other times, who knows? It's just such a crapshoot anyway.
And in fact, if they knew the emotional investment of Pac-Man, they might have scored it even more violent.
Yeah, especially
That's right.
Man,
There's
I almost
sexual
had a high
content.
score.
Yeah.
They clearly meet and then have a baby.
So this is kind of another man bites or dog bites.
Exactly. It's
story,
kind of one of
isn't it?
those. Aside from like the E3, kind of like being the big news story of the day.
So the other big stories to sum up are that some men play as women in role-playing games,
Still don't
and the
believe it.
ESRB rates games stupidly.
It's not like
Wow.
anybody.
Come to CGW for your
For
hardcore
hardcore
news.
It's not like anybody paid attention to the ESRB anyway.
Well, right.
Okay, and actually, in minor tech news,
they flip flop with their scores.
Yeah.
minor tech news going off the page for a minute. But last week, at a big to-do in Santa Clara, Intel announced their new dual-core processors, Core 2.
Yay.
Yay!
Dual core
Apparently,
processor.
apparently, it is the veritable shit. I have to check with the Extreme Tech guys.
Mhm.
I haven't actually had a chance
Go
to test
all
out a
in.
machine just yet. But
He said veritable
Veritable.
Yeah.
before he said shit, so that makes
so
it
it kind of like
Yeah.
diminished
Right.
it a little.
right.
Not quite.
When we curse, we're classy about it.
Exactly.
Except for the
So-
F-bomb I dropped on it.
That was like 2 minutes in too.
What
So
was it about? I
don't
knew it was
remember.
something
Oh.
worthwhile.
so
Battlefield.
Yeah, something like that.
all I can say is I missed the song and dance at Intel last week, but I'm going to be getting the lowdown from Lloyd and Jason, and hopefully have some performance numbers for you next week if you really give a crap.
Sure
Find
we
out if
do.
it really does
Yeah.
Well, the shit.
Yes.
Well, it's supposed
Try it on a lot of stuff and see if it has compatibility issues, because current dual-core ones do.
Well, apparently from what I'm hearing is like this is gonna like it just basically